Anything else stand out to you in free agency that you want to talk about?
I think Mike Green will make a great addition to Detroit, even though he's soft.
Yeah,
he's a soft player.
He'll fit in. He'll fit
in well with Detroit because they're not about the grinding game. They have a puck possession skill game. They let their guys do it. Yeah. I mean, Nyquist is the softest guy in the league other than Kapanen when he comes in and plays 10 games. It's a minus 10 like Harrington, but fuck, yeah. He'll fit in well with Detroit. I like Detroit's skill, how they move the puck around.
Yeah, they also got Richards for $3 million too to kind of solidify that center role, you know? Like, they'll be there again. Detroit's not going nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of shocked Tampa was quiet.
Yeah.
After their little long run, you know, they're going to need to. There's not going to happen again, Tampa Bay. You're going to have to reload the shelves and stuff and go for it, man. Ask all these teams how hard it is to get back to the finals, man. Like, they need a little bit of help, Tampa,
I think
for
they're
sure.
Still a top possession team for sure. Yeah. They built their team around possession, but I think there would be a couple players that would fit in well with Tampa Bay's system, but I think last season they got all they needed. Brian Boyle, Anton Strawman, that complemented their team really well. Iserman is a very subtle GM.
He's subtle.
It's very subtle.
Drouin will obviously get a shot next year. They got some prospects in the cupboard. Yeah. I wouldn't mind them getting a defenseman to help Hedman out, and I wouldn't mind them getting a forward that can score. As well, to kind of slide into that top six a bit. That triplet line, they ain't gonna do what they did this year.
No,
I'm sorry. That stuff happens.
I'm gonna bet
they're gonna be good, but they're not gonna be as efficient or impactful, I think, as they were this year.
Drouin is gonna make an impact. He made no fucking impact in the playoffs this year.
None.
He was a minus.
He was almost a sulker. I almost heard the rumors of sulking, and he wanted to play, and he was pissed he wasn't playing.
Oh, that's embarrassing. Like, he's a young player. He wasn't reading the plays well.
No, he was too young for that environment. He was too young.
He didn't read plays. He missed. He blew a couple.
Pretty sure he was on on the ice for a couple game-winning goals by Chicago.
Crucial goals.
I'm pretty sure.
He fucked up in crucial spots. He's a creative type of player, so obviously, like a creative person in real life, they have trouble adjusting to the hardships. Yeah.
Well, I think Michael Frolik was one guy I kind of had to circle down. He's getting 4.3 for 5 years from the Flames. Not bad. I would love to have him just under 4, but I think he's your perfect third-line player that can play in your top 6 when the guy's hurt. Put up 19 goals last year for Winnipeg. Won a Stanley Cup with Chicago. He's got 500-plus games in the NHL. He's also a little bit of a grinder for a European. He'll grind it. He'll score you some goals. He can play wing on the top 6 if he has to.
He's a strong guy.
He can kill some penalties.
He has a lot of power in his stride.
I think him with Michael Backlund and a couple of the boys down in Calgary, I think he'll fit in just well. I was kind of hoping to come east to the Canadians a little bit, Instead of, the Habs picked up Zach Kassian from Vancouver for Prust. When I heard about
Prust is banged up.
Yes, Prust is banged up, Marc.
I stole that from you, but I don't watch the Canadians enough to see that difference in the Prust type. I love to see Prust.
I love Prust. He was a heart and soul for 3 years. He was a heart and soul for the Rangers.
Look at what happened with Malhotra. All the really good support grinders, they lose their stride.
Yeah, they lose a step or two. They get banged up. Like, Prust was hurt all year last year. He played through it. Give him some credit. Hopefully,
it's a vicious cycle. When you play hurt, you get more hurt, and you get more hurt, and you just fall apart.
He's a free agent next year too, and Kassian now, the Habs control him for another year. He's an RFA next year. They got a little bit more control with him. Kassian, though, he hasn't found his game. No. Right now he's a miss. Right now, I think he was a top 10 pick. Right now he's right around a dud right now. He's a big boy. He can skate. Sometimes he gets too preoccupied in trying to beat people up and stuff when he really he can put some pucks in the net. I don't think he could score 20 goals ever in this league. 15, 12 probably should happen somewhat consistently for a guy that can skate this well for a big man. But he just seems to be lost over in in Vancouver.
Yeah, Vancouver, I think it's a weird spot for...
They get a lot of voices talking in his head, too.
Yeah. He had a lot of different pushes and pulls. I think realistically, Vancouver looked at Kassian because they wanted to play with the Zadines. They thought he would be perfect with the Zadines.
You know, provide some space, banger. I think that's what I mean. I think he almost took that to heart too much. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't necessarily playing with the Zadines. He was playing against them on the same line, trying to create space for them, but it was almost just like there was just two forwards out there and not a Kassian. He was just running around trying to hit people and bang people up a little bit rather than focusing on what got him the NHL, was being a good skater, scoring some goals, you know, every now and then.
Getzlaf is one of the toughest guys to play against. He doesn't get as involved in the corners as he possibly could be, but that's because
you got to pick your moments, right?
You got to pick your moments, right? He's one of the toughest players to play against. He barely has any hits.
Yeah.
He barely hits. And that doesn't mean Kassian shouldn't emulate Getzlaf, but it doesn't have to. It has to do with the size, you know, the size and the stride. And if you're big and you have a stride, if you can skate as fast as Kassian, your stride is so important to the team. But he, exactly like you said, he doesn't realize this. He wants to run around and hit, and that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a skill if you have some skill.
If you have some skill, it's a huge mistake. I think Habs fans, basically, you're either going to love him or hate him. There's no middle ground with Zach Kassian. We're going to love him, we're going to hate him.
But it's a low risk.
It's low risk. And with Marc Bergeron, like, what can I say? The guy's been pulling out, you know, bags of gold from players that people don't seem to want. Dale Weiss came from Vancouver. Yeah. Hey, Dale Weiss, no problem. Come on down to my team and stuff like that. So, you know, and he's made up for a lot of mistakes. You know, he got rid of Moen after he signed him for that crappy deal. Yeah. Good on him and stuff like that. Got rid of Rene Bourque. So, you know, you got to give Bergeron, you know, a little bit of credit here and stuff. He seems to know what he's doing. And, you know, and congrats Bergeron for being on the World Cup team or whatever. Canada Cup, World Cup, whatever is going on in Toronto that's got like the under 23 North Americans and some mixed European teams. And it's a fucking joke. But congratulations, Bergeron, for being named the assistant general manager on Team Canada.
Oh, assistant, that's great.
I think Doug Armstrong, though, is from St. Louis, is the actual general manager. Whoever saw that coming, to be honest with you. Like, Doug Armstrong, St. Louis can't get over the hump. They can't even sign Tarasenko right now.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder where, I think Tarasenko might, if he doesn't re-sign with St. Louis, he might go to Washington. Yeah. Because Washington is the haven for Russian players, you know.
All right. I'm just going to, one last comment on the draft here, something I thought was pretty cool. I like to look at some things, you know, a little out of the normal. First ever Chinese-born skater was drafted, 162nd overall, 172nd overall by the New York Islanders. Andong Song, 6 foot, 160-pound defenseman, plays in a high school in New Jersey. They had about almost 3 million people or so back in China watching them get drafted on day 2 of the draft, not live on TV. So congrats, Andong Song, for being the first Chinese player drafted into the NHL.
I think there was some pressure from the Asian owner of what's it, Wong?
Yeah, Wong or whatever.
Wong.
Yeah, well, he actually, to be honest, he sent a team over to China to play against the Song guy's team. You know, like, he had, like, some charity team go over to China and play for a few games, a couple times a year or something like that. But, you know, all right. It was a very busy fucking day today in free agency. Before we move on, I'm going to leave you the floor with free agency. Do you want to hit on any other notes? Anything that's, you know, whether the Ryan O'Reilly, actually I was at the draft, we got the Ryan O'Reilly trade still, if you want to make a comment
Ryan
or two
O'Reilly,
about that.
He'll fit really well in with Buffalo because now they have 2 elite. I consider Ryan O'Reilly an elite center because although he's not the fastest player in the world, he has that intensity that's rare. Like, you can notice an intensity in a player. I notice it with Ryan O'Reilly. He'll do anything and he'll move into spaces to create whatever he can.
I'm a big fan of Ryan O'Reilly. To me, he's your prototypical 70-point centerman, but he's an excellent centerman on the draws. He's an excellent penalty killer. He can play some power play. He can be a... I don't know if he's
consistent.
I don't know if he's a first-line centerman on a winning team.
He's like Bergeron. Bergeron isn't...
Perfect example. He's a North American.
I like Bergeron better than O'Reilly. Obviously, Bergeron's the best second-line center in the game. No questions asked. But Ryan O'Reilly kind of emulates a Bergeron without the
Would you want him for $7 million a year? I don't know what his cap. They might sneak that cap hit down to like 6 or 6.5. But I know he's asking. He wants like 7.5 a year. So
I would take Ryan O'Reilly for 7. I would take him for 7 on a rebuilding team.
Yeah, I'm sure Buffalo will get the cap hit down to 6 or 6.5, but he's actually earning like 7 or so a year with all the bonuses and shit like that, how the teams end up getting around it and stuff. But he is asking for a lot of money, but him and Eichel, hey, Buffalo Sabres fans, finally, screwed over by Babcock, screwed over in the draft. But look what happened, man.
Eichel has...
He's got a chip on his shoulder.
He does have a chip on his shoulder.
I like that.
He wants to be better than McDavid.
He hates McDavid. You can just see him looking at him.
See, McDavid has all this hype around him. You have Crosby tweeting, he reminds me a lot of me. What a dick.
Yeah, and you got the photo of like him and Crosby and Gretzky and like
that's a ruin.
You got the evolution of the game and stuff. You got Eichel just sitting back there, just fucking stewing, eh?
Yeah.
Little son of a fucking bitch. He's just saying to his mouth. I'm looking forward to the first game between them.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to see Eichel just take a fucking run at him too.
Oh, Eichel. It's like Eichel's more like a Taves.
Yeah, I agree.
McDavid's more like a Crosby.
I totally agree.
I would rather have Taves on my team than Crosby.
Well, who's got more cups?
Taves.
So there we go.
But who has Patrick Kane?
Still, Crosby's got Malkin.
That's true.
And you know what I'm saying? Like...
Yep.
It is the Taves Crosby thing. Taves has worked his ass off to fucking be there, and it just didn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
It was Crosby the sexy boy, and now we got old Jonathan Taves.
And McDavid, if anything kills his career from the get-go, it's going to be that pressure of living up to Gretzky. Like, who the fuck wants
That's another reason why I don't think he wants to be in Edmonton. You got the whole fucking shadow over him, no matter what he does,
They'll be kidding, and Edmonton fans aren't the smartest people in the world. Why the fuck else would they be living in Edmonton,
Well, I think we've covered mostly everything, I guess the sad trade was another fucking big one. Yeah, like Chicago had to get rid of some players.
But they got a lot in return.
hey, Leaf fans, you listen to that? Chicago got a lot for Andrew Saad, man.
yeah. They got more from Brendan Saad than the Leafs got for Kessler.
Oh, totally. Marco Dano, the 4th round pick. Like, I don't know what the when I'm looking down at this, I don't know what Trop or Morin. I've heard of Morin. I know he was on the World Juniors and stuff like that.
He played Chicago before.
Yeah, so I think he's serviceable. I don't know about the Trap kid at all, but Dano, Anisimov
will fit it.
There's your centerman, and Brad Richards just left, man. So there you fucking go, right?
Anisimov will play really
and he plays some good defense, too.
Yeah,
his defense is underrated.
With Osa, I think.
Yeah.
I think next season they'll match Taves up with Kane a lot more.
Well, that's what they're comparing this little Dano kid, too. Marian Hossa, he's Slovakian. Marian Hossa is Slovakian. A little bit of mentorship. Dano's already played a few games in the NHL. He's not going to.
They got a lot of skill for a guy like Saad, who's not the most skilled guy in the world, but he was working hard this playoffs.
All right. Well, we're just going to end this first edition here of the block with actually, I want to give a shout out to the Raps end this. Raps signed Damari Carroll to a contract offer sheet. I was kind of disappointed in their draft and what they did. I think. The small forward, his name eludes me right now. I'll come back to it. But I didn't like the point guard they drafted. I think he's overrated. I don't think his defense is that good. I think they needed a small forward, Jefferson Hollanday or the Hollanday kid or whatever. I'll come back to that. But Damari Carroll, small forward, exactly what they fucking need. Splash some fucking cash. Raptors fans should be pretty fucking stoked right now if they have Damari Carroll in their starting lineup last year. He was with the Atlanta Hawks, had a nice run, he hurt his knee, tried to come back and play. He's a little bit of a gamer, big dunks. So on that note, it's the first edition of the block. Glad you could be here to join us. Raptors, looks bright. Leafs, still looks dark.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Marc?
I can't believe what we got for guess.
Well,
he's going to score 40 goals, and we might not get any goals in return.
Well, that's what you got. No goals in return. We're out. Glad you could be here to join us. Tune in next time. This is The Block.
You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You fire musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand, there's no turning back.